Ladies and gentlemen, this is your SmackDown Live results, review, and reaction show, and it is brought to you by Pillar to Post. I am your host, Pete Wall, and do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, hit the like button, continue to watch, and we are going to do a quick intro, and we'll be right back. See you in a little bit.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
That's enough of that. Tonight I didn't really want to let the whole introduction play. Now, before we get things going, tonight, not going to let things get the better of me. I let that happen last night. Not going to happen. I am going to give you a show based off of what I think the show could have been and what it should have been and what it was. Now, we came into watching the show, and it was brought to us from Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines, Iowa. So, what were my thoughts on tonight's show? Well, let me bring up the list of matches, and we'll go from there. So, we started off with an introduction with Renee Young supposedly going to interview Shinsuke Nakamura. My thoughts on the interview itself, I'm not going to speak about what happened. I think it could have been done a lot better. I wasn't into the whole Dolph Ziggler bit, the way he was talking tonight. It just wasn't coming off as organic and genuine. He seems to be struggling with his character, that it's either the heel mentality part, or he's just tired of being jerked around and being used as a guy that puts everyone over instead of being in the spotlight. It wasn't a good segment. I think, in my opinion, Shinsuke Nakamura needs a manager. Either be it female or male, it doesn't really matter. He needs somebody to do the speaking for him. And for God's sakes, when you are in an interview, take your goddamn mouth guard out of your damn mouth. Now, I love what Shinsuke Nakamura does in the ring, but if he is supposed to speak and he already is struggling with the English language, pull your mouth guard out. And at least then we'll be able to understand you a little bit clearer. But that's my opinion. Our first match was AJ Styles and Baron Corbin. Not a bad match. AJ Styles and Baron Corbin work well together. It just wasn't as good as it was the last time around. Last week they faced each other for the number 1 contendership. And we seen this at the very top of the show, and I was wondering why. And, it just kind of was put out there. First match. Now these guys are having a great feud with one another. I do enjoy it. I enjoy their matches. I just don't want to see it every week because it's not needed every week. There can be other things done between the two from week to week. It doesn't always have to be in a match. There can be backstage attacks or whatever, but it doesn't need to be a match every week. We are going to get tired of it before they even get to a pay-per-view with this kind of match. So they need to tame it down a little bit with the in-ring action between these two, or else, like I said, we're going to get tired of seeing it. And up next we had the This was bullshit. American Alpha versus the Clones. And it was a timed match. Basically, a beat the clock match. That's what it was called. And it was for the number one contendership. Now, there was another tag team later on in the show, a tag team match, under the same stipulation. And if they were to beat the clock on this match, that tag team would be the number one contenders. My problem with the clock matches, the beat the clock matches, for one, they suck. It is all about trying to get the quickest match possible. That doesn't make it exciting for us, the fans watching at home, or those in the arena. We want to see these tag teams finally get TV time, and then when they do, it's like 5 minutes. Or in the winner's case, like 2-3 minutes. We don't want to see that. We want to see these guys actually compete. Give them, like we used to get, a 30-minute time limit. And if it ends up going 20 minutes, good. It is a good thing. And then next week you have the winners face each other for the number one contendership. Not this bullshit, because this bullshit doesn't make sense. It's not giving the tag teams any time. And us, the fans, we lose out. Because we didn't get a proper match. We didn't get to see them for a long enough period of time. And just like that, the match is over. And then when the next match happens, it's under the same rule. And it's even quicker. So I call bullshit. Let's see, what was up next? We had Eric Rowan versus Randy Orton in a no disqualification match. Now, I noticed something tonight. All the champions that were in action tonight came out first. And I know I'm of the old guard when it comes to watching wrestling and the way WWE works. I like traditional style wrestling. To me, the champion always comes out last. Your opponent comes out first. Your challenger comes out first, no matter if it's a non-title match or a title match. The champion always comes in last because he is the important piece of the puzzle. The match wasn't that bad. Not going to shit on it. It wasn't that bad. I was actually surprised it was as good as it was. But like I said, champions coming out first makes no sense to me at all. It's like the title isn't as important as it should be. You know, that's why I believe the champion should always come out second. Now, there was a little bit of a hubbub after the match with Jinder Mahal, and I'll get into that later on. Our next match, which was a surprise to see these two tag teams on the show for a change, BREEZANGO versus the Ascension in the second Beat the Clock challenge to become number one contenders. Very short match, and it pissed me off because I haven't seen these two teams and I want to see more. I've said it many times again, Connor and Victor need a manager to make them seem bigger and better. They need to kind of change their look, deviate from the Legion of Doom bit. BREEZANGO, get rid of the fucking name. It is a stupid fucking name. Become either the Fashion Police or whatever. I don't care. BREEZANGO sounds so fucking stupid. But like I said, very quick match. Did not get to see enough to make me enjoy it. Surprise winner and surprise number one contenders. Shocking. But it wasn't a match that we could enjoy. The ending was enjoyable, but the match itself was not. We had Charlotte Flair versus Naomi in the very, very last match, the main event of the night, for the Women's Championship. It wasn't going too bad, and then the ending came along, and it ended up into a little bit of a chaotic attack. I'm kind of glad it happened. I didn't want to see Charlotte Flair win the title tonight. Naomi is still your champion, but the match was actually not too bad. They need a little bit more time in the ring together. It would be even better. But like I said, at the very end, we had the shit disturbers of last week come in. Natalya, Snuka, what's her fucking name? The Princess of Staten Island. And the No Chin motherfucker. I can never remember his fucking name. He's so unimportant. We had them come in, interfere in the match, and it ended on a DQ. So they're building up with the Charlotte Flair and Naomi thing with this disqualification, as well as the locker room heat in the women's division because Charlotte is being catered to. Now, I want to discuss a little bit about last night's, my review for Monday Night Raw. Now, I felt like actually redoing my review because I was trying to be positive about my review last night. I was down, felt defeated, and just all around felt shitty. And so I was trying to look for better things in Monday night, and I gave it a review of 7 out of 10, which was wrong. It should have been no more than 5. There was absolutely no build towards Payback, which was their go-home show last night. And I went in and I talked to my daughter after I did the review show, and she asked me what I gave it. And I told her, and she goes, "Dad, that was a shit show." And it's like, I know. But I was trying to be positive. I was trying to get in the right frame of mind to do the show. And I shouldn't have. I should have just left it alone and done it this morning. Today, a little bit more loosened up. Yes, the same issues going on, but just working on shit, you know? So like I said, we were from Des Moines, Iowa tonight with SmackDown Live, and we were in the Wells Fargo Arena. Now, to open the show, we had Renee Young inside the ring, and she welcomed Shinsuke Nakamura. And we all know Shinsuke's entrance is phenomenally long. I think his is might be longer than The Undertaker's. Same with Finn Balor's. I wish they'd kind of tone it down a little bit. But Nakamura comes out, but before anything could really get going, we get Dolph Ziggler in the ring. And he takes the mic from Renee Young, insists on it for a bit before she hands it over, and asks her to leave. Now Nakamura is holding the ropes open for her and helps her way out, being the gentleman. And Ziggler says if Shinsuke wants to play interview, they'll play interview. And he asks a pile of superficial questions all at once, only to cut Shinsuke off immediately when he wanted to answer, explaining that the people don't understand Japanese, but he was talking about how Dolph was his favorite and put him over in a bunch of different ways that actually sucked ass. I really don't want to cover this because I thought it was complete bullshit, but I'll go on through. Next question, what's going through your mind when you do your wacky dance moves? And Shinsuke just sort of leans back, refused to answer, and Dolph says he must be intimidated being in the ring with his hero before saying Nakamura isn't who he thinks or who we think he is. His name is actually Michael, and he grew up in Gary, Indiana, and traveled the world singing and dancing with his brothers and sisters, LaToya, Tito, Janet, and so on, the Jackson family. This is where I thought it was getting stupid, really stupid. Somehow Shinsuke proved to be the biggest weirdo of them all. With a Ferris wheel in his backyard, a guest appearance on The Simpsons, his best friend is a monkey named Bubbles, but somehow he dipped into obscurity and reemerged in Japan under the alias Shinsuke Nakamura. Ziggler says that translates per Google to petty, pathetic, overrated freak. Finally, we're sick of it. Nakamura grabs the mic away from Ziggler and says it's his turn to ask the questions, asking Dolph Ziggler what the problem is. Dolph starts to answer and Shinsuke yanks the mic away, translating for him, same as he was done earlier. Only in Japanese this time, but his finishes clearly by calling Ziggler a jackass. Now Dolph fires back, tunes up the band, and attempts a super kick. Shinsuke grabs a leg and delivers an inverted exploder suplex. Beautifully done. That was the highlight of this whole segment. He gets ready to deliver the Kinshasa, but Ziggler bails out just in time and makes his way up the ramp. Now we get a little bit of hype for the women's championship match as AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin is announced to be our next match. We come back from commercial and Byron Saxton is talking about the Papa Roach song, and it doesn't matter, but I wrote it down for some reason anyway. Kevin Owens joins the commentary for the Styles and Corbin match. The new face of America. Which, okay, this is what I got a problem with. Kevin Owens' character does not need cheap heat. And to me, doing the whole nation versus nation, race versus race, religion versus religion, it is cheap heat. No matter where it's done in the world, it is cheap heat. Being racist of any form, to me, especially in the wrestling world, is cheap heat. It only lasts for so long before people just get tired of it and it tones down, and then they just begin to dislike it and don't bother paying attention. And for them to put that on Kevin Owens' character, it doesn't make sense to me, because this guy can bring heat all on his own without bringing in nation versus nation and claiming, being Canadian and claiming that he is the new face of America. That just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why they're doing it. I don't agree with it, and I find it pathetic. It's not going to last long because people are going to begin to despise the whole role, and then he's going to end up fading before people... He ends up like Alberto Del Rio and Rusev and all those other people. Remember them? The League of Nations? This is the same bullshit. I don't understand it. So, like I said, AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin, and Kevin Owens is on commentary. Now, very good match. AJ Styles was basically in control at the beginning until commercial break came around and Corbin was in control when we came back. There's way too much at the beginning of the match that was way too slow. I don't know how long and how many times AJ Styles applied the headlock, but that was a good 10 minutes, just the headlock. So to me, it started off way too slowly. Now, let's see. Where are my notes here? I'm sorry. So, after that's all done, we get AJ Styles basically kicked towards the ropes. He kind of falls between the second and the lower rope. And he's kind of hanging there. And we get Baron Corbin put the boots right to his chest. He flies flat on his back on the floor. Clearly out of breath. Looked great. Every one of these guys, like AJ Styles and Baron Corbin, they know what to do in the ring. They do it well. We've seen a choke breaker, I guess it's called. It's a choke slam turned into a backbreaker. That looked good from Baron Corbin. But all in all, I don't think the match was as good as their first one or their prior one last week. I'm going to go down through the last part of the match because I don't want to sit here all night. So we get the choke breaker, and that was only good for a 2 count. Corbin ends up mounting AJ and delivering some forearms to his face, taking him into the corner, setting him up on top. We get front chancery from Styles, but Styles slips out. And front chancery, basically, you tying him up, getting him ready for a superplex. Styles slips out between Baron Corbin's legs and pulls him off the second turnbuckle. Corbin kisses the top turnbuckle, and AJ Styles delivers the Pele. Stumbling to his feet, leaping lariat, and partial Styles rush into a sliding forearm strike off the ropes. Calling for the Styles clash, Baron shoves him off, charges in, Styles trying for the calf killer, but the lone wolf blocks and punches him in the back of the head. Boots up on a charge and a forearm. KO comes over and AJ kicks him in the face. But the delay gives Corbin time to wake up. In the center of the ring, he lifts Styles up for a powerbomb. AJ floats over. AJ Styles wins with a pinfall. The sunset flip pinfall. So, your winner, AJ Styles. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it justice. So, after the match, Owens and Corbin put the boots to Styles but Sami Zayn makes a save. Kevin bails, but Sami takes it to Baron Corbin, putting him into the post. We get a haluva kick that that looked pretty damn good. Took Baron Corbin out for a bit. Owens comes back in, blindsides Zayn, and hits a pop-up powerbomb on AJ Styles. He gets his title and stands tall to the end. Now, in the locker room, later on, we get Charlotte Flair working out backstage when an interviewer rolls up. Charlotte says every superstar has blood in their veins, but gold runs through hers. She's been women's champion 4 times, but did everything she can on Raw, and now the Queen needs a new kingdom to rule. The drive for 5 is completed tonight, and she'll prove to Naomi and the WWE Universe that she's the greatest superstar in WWE history. I want to say this about this little interview. She sounded a little less robotic, just a little. There's still that robotic tone to her voice, the way she pauses in between words. But it wasn't as bad. She came off a little bit more steady this time. It was good to hear, but she needs a lot more work on her promos. Now we get up next, American Alpha. That's Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. They verse the Colognes, Epico and Primo. So Epico and Chad start the match. We get a backslide from Gable right off the hop, trying to go for the finish win. So he grabs a side headlock. Epico to his feet, shoots him off, drop down, but Chad stops himself and grabs a ghetto clutch for a 2 count. Tag to Jordan, big drop kick gets 1. Get front chancery and a gator roll to a pin, but it's no good. Follows that up with a wrist lock, but Epico breaks with a punch. Jason gets a waist lock takedown for a 1 count. Now Gable gets back in and gets a roll for 2. Wrist lock, Cologne pulls the hair, backs him into the corner, but Gable throws hands to keep himself from getting locked down. Whip to the corner, Primo yanks his cousin away, and Epico lays the Olympian out with a boot before laying stomps in for another 2 count. Get a tag to Primo. Slingshot dropkick over Chad in the ropes for 2. Another cover gets 2 more. Then a mounted set of punches. Scraping his boot across Gable's face. Kneeling armbar applied. Gable gets to his feet. Epico tagged back in. Off the ropes, leapfrogs. And a punch and a knee. Then a lariat from Epico for another 2 count. This is quick pins straight through. Get a reverse chinlock applied, taking the Alpha Man to the to the mat before wrenching him around to seated. Chad gets to his feet, get an arm dragged escape, but he gets caught in a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker for another near fall. Get a back suplex, a tag to Primo, and with a slingshot senton for another 2 count. Get a scoop slam. Leg drop, again, Gable stays in it. We get a side Russian leg sweep into a grounded octopus hold. Chad is in a bad place but managed to slip out, and only Primo knocking Jordan off the ropes. Get Epico in, up for the powerbomb, but Jason Jordan comes in and makes the save. We get the grand amplitude on Epico for the 1, 2, 3, and American Alpha set the time of 5 minutes 17 seconds to beat the clock. So we got 5 minutes and 17 seconds of what wasn't a bad match. It wasn't. It was just too quick. The whole focus on the match is getting the pinfall. That is always supposed to be the focus. You're always supposed to have the focus of winning a match. But in this kind of match, it's all about the quickest pinfall. And it sucks because we rarely get to see tag teams used correctly on SmackDown. Tonight they had the opportunity, and it was wasted on a beat the clock challenge. We got the Usos watching from backstage, seemingly unbothered by these happenings. Why would they be, you know? As soon as I seen that clock, well, the next one's going to be even quicker. So they're looking at it, well, we're not going to have to face the American Alpha anymore. Chances are, you know, well, the clones are out. So our next tag teams are BREEZANGO, and we got the Ascension, which haven't been utilized in a long time. You know, it doesn't make sense to me. These guys deserve more time. They deserve to be able to give us a show. Let me grab my coffee here. What's up, hon?
You don't want another coffee, do you?
No, not right now, sweetheart. All in all, I'm going to say it was a fair match. The action wasn't too bad. It just, like I said, way too fucking quick. So we're back from commercial, and we get another New Day little promo video package. I don't really care. We then go to Rusev's message. He starts off by saying he doesn't like Daniel Bryan or Shane McMahon, and he doesn't approve of the superstar shakeup. So the only way he's wrestling for SmackDown is if he gets a title match at Money in the Bank. Or he'll pack his bags and go right back home to Bulgaria. And I'm thinking, go back home. Just go. I don't want to see this on SmackDown. Charlotte came in, demanded a title shot. She received it. Now Rusev is doing the same thing. And watch, he's going to get it. Or he'll be placed in the Money in the Bank match. Who knows? The ladder match, or he'll get a title shot. If he gets a title shot, I call bullshit. The superstar trade-off was to give these guys new opportunities. It wasn't to just have them thrust into the spotlight. They need to earn their way up the ladder, and it's not making any sense to have these guys just, you know, come out and demand what they want, and they're getting it automatically. It pisses me off. It's not wrestling anymore. That is not competition. It is gimme, 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 and you get it. And there's no show for the fans. There's no storyline. There's no build-up of the character. And it's sad to see. And yet everyone makes fun of me because I talk about how things used to be in wrestling and that I'm a traditional wrestler. Well, I'm sorry, but you know what? The traditional wrestling that went on back in the day was wrestling to remember. You're not going to remember most of these wrestlers in 10 years. I'm not going to remember a Rusev or a Alberto Del Rio or even a Sheamus. You know, these guys are not being built up. They're not being brought to us in this superhuman-like fashion like it was done. These guys are not being built to be memorable. And it sucks. So Becky Lynch is interviewed backstage about Charlotte's arrival. She doesn't approve of her tactics, but she appreciates that she's getting results. We get Natalya, Tamina, and Carmella with James Ellsworthless in tow as always. And Natty asks her where she stands on the whole Charlotte situation. Either she's with them or against them. And Carmella tells her to choose wisely. Just this whole piece just doesn't make sense. I can understand them being upset that she just, came in, demanded a title, she got it. I understand that part of this whole bit. But it takes all of these women to be, no. They need to come out singly and they need to put themselves out there. Right now it's basically having Natalya as the the lead goon and her henchman. So to me, it's not putting any of these women in the spotlight. They could have worked this out singly and, attacked Charlotte one-on-one throughout, building up storylines, making these women have TV time, building them up, and then having a great war with them. I don't understand what this is all about. So, Eric Rowan versus Randy Orton in a no disqualification match. Like I said, made no sense why the champions were coming out first tonight, but they were. It was a it was a fairly good match. I enjoyed it. Eric Rowan was given time. He wasn't just used as a whooping post, and there you go. We had him being... We've seen kendo sticks in the match. We've seen chairs in the match. We've seen tables in the match. Randy Orton got to taste the kendo stick a few times. Eric Rowan tasted it a few times. And then was pushed through a table at ringside. Destroyed it. It was a good match. We had everything that we usually get in a hardcore match. It's good to see that these type of matches are coming back a little bit. They're not as violent or as brutal, but it's good to see that they're starting to phase some of this back into the wrestling world. We had both Orton and Rowan get a taste of the announce table, but in the end, it was Randy Orton with a pinfall after the RKO. After the match, Randy gets on the mic and says he doesn't know what a House of Horrors match is, and we heard the same thing last week. The guy is very repetitive and very boring as a champion, but for some reason he feels like he's going to find out on Sunday. And my thought was, well, probably because you're going to be there, Are you fucking stupid? He denies Bray's conception that the match will be his purgatory, insisting instead that it'll be Wyatt's eternal hell. Hearing Randy Orton on the mic week after week, it's the same thing over and over and over again. He repeats himself constantly. There's nothing new he brings to this feud, this match, or the pay-per-view. We already know he's not losing the title because, frankly, they've already phased that out of the whole match. They stopped talking about it in that light, so it is not a title match. And either way, what would happen? You get the WWE World Title on Raw as well as the Universal. Makes no sense. Jinder Mahal interrupts. He berates Orton for overlooking the Maharaja and for disrespecting him. He shouldn't be worried about Bray Wyatt or the House of Horrors because he's the true horror. He'll take his title. He has more wealth, more talent, more class, more culture than anybody in this arena, including Randy Orton. He says Randy is like all these people, disrespecting him because he looks different and because of his arrogance, his lack of tolerance. But at Backlash, he'll take back his respect, take the glory of the WWE Championship back to him and his people, who we will now address, who he will now address in his language of Punjabi. See, using the cheap heat again. Everyone knows this is going nowhere. Jinder's going to face Randy Orton at Backlash, and he's going to lose. Orton's going to retain, and it was all just to get that further push in the market of India to sell merchandise. He does indeed cut a promo in Punjabi. I didn't pay attention. I don't understand it anyway, so, I don't give a shit. He throws out of the blue a punch at Orton, which is caught, blocked, and Orton fends him off, sets him up on the rope hung DDT, but the Bollywood Boys, also known now as the Singh Brothers, hit the ring and make the save, holding on to Randy Orton's legs. And when I seen these guys, the first reaction, I don't want anyone to think I'm mean or callous. I looked and it's like, did Jinder get some elves? These guys are fucking tiny. But they made the save. Jinder puts the boots to Randy Orton before dragging him up for a Cobra Clutch slam. Mahal takes the title with him and poses with the boys on his way out. So, basically, they've done a story where Jinder's stealing the WWE World title, and now the only way Orton's going to be able to get it back is either he's going to, next week make an attack on Mahal because he's in the ring, showing off with the title, or he's going to get it back at Backlash. Either one. They're not going to make him wait. They're going to probably get it back to him next week. So, come back from commercial, and we've got they show Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers climbing into a stretch limo with the title, leaving the arena. And up next is the BREEZANGO versus Ascension Beat the Clock challenge for the #1 contendership. Like I said, very short match, nothing to really go over. BREEZANGO wins by pinfall with a Falcon Arrow from Fandango to Victor at the 2-minute 36 seconds. So BREEZANGO is your new tag team #1 contenders for the tag team championships. But in 2 minutes and 36 seconds, there is nothing for a person on a podcast to really review. How can anyone look good in a match in 2 minutes and 36 seconds? It's like watching a Goldberg match. You got either 96 seconds or 20 seconds to determine if the match was good or not. And usually in that time, you're thinking this match was fucking shit. Same with this one. We get two teams we haven't seen in the ring for a long time, and they are given 2 minutes and 36 seconds. And we were supposed to be sitting there and like, wow, this was fucking great. This was the match of the fucking night. I didn't even have to blink. I didn't have to think. It was the perfect match. For the brain dead retards of the wrestling world, yes, it was. I'm sorry, but when I want to watch a tag team match, I want to see a tag team match. I don't want to see this bullshit. So, come back from commercial, and they're talking about talking smack, and then we get a short promo from Neville for 205 Live, telling Austin Aries that he'll learn that he's not playing as he dismantles Jack Gallagher tonight. We then get a Bray Wyatt video package, basically just running through all the things that happened on Raw. And Naomi is interviewed backstage about her match, saying that Charlotte has been a standout competitor and beat her fair last week. But she's running her mouth about being the best and the greatest. Why? Who does she think she is? Muhammad Ali? Where Naomi's from, you gotta be on top to be the best. And it seems to her like she's Ali in this case. She's gonna go out there and do what she does best and prove why she's champion. And Charlotte will feel the glow. So up next is your main event of the evening. And it is Charlotte Flair versus Naomi for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And like I said, it was a pretty good match. These women put on a good show. It was back and forth. I guess at the beginning it was all Charlotte Flair. And throughout the whole match, it was basically Flair controlling the match. Naomi made a great comeback. And we had a no contest because of Tamina, Natalia, the other fucking bitch, Carmella, and James Ellsworth interfering in the match, putting the boots to Charlotte Flair. Tamina dropped her with a super kick, and we had Naomi come in, try and make the save, but she was taken out by a vicious clothesline by Natalia. And then they all just ganged up back on Charlotte, put the boots to her again, they held her up, and then Carmella added to it with another super kick, and they all left her laying there. So that was your SmackDown review for April 25th, 2017. Do me a favor, subscribe, hit that like button, continue to follow, and an announcement. Tomorrow begins the first episode of the Polara Project. And if you haven't watched before, what is the Polara Project? I'm going to tell you right now. I will be starting tomorrow videotaping the progress on my son's 68 Dodge Polara. It is classic, which I love. It's a big car. And we're going to start off by showing you how to check the brakes and the brake drums on these old cars tomorrow. Also, I'm going to show footage of some of the work that we've already done and currently working on. The rear dashboard, we're getting that ready for putting it together and fiberglassing it with the new speakers in. We're going to be taking care of the panel behind the back seats. And you're also going to see what we did. We ripped out the bench seats out of the car and we put in 4 bucket seats, so you can see that they don't all match yet, but in the end they will. But that is the Polara Project. It is a Gearheads show. So if you're a car guy and you're interested in watching this kind of stuff, please tune in tomorrow for the Polara Project. Also for your NXT results, reviews, and reaction show. Have a good night. I enjoyed myself tonight. It was a good SmackDown, and I hope you believed it was too. So, see you tomorrow. Take it easy.